What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some big news involving Elon Musk and President Trump that's causing a lot of volatility. And what's going on with Tesla stock as we're seeing so much more upside potential that's continuing to develop. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000 into the account, you're guaranteed 25 in total. And deposit $5,000, you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. The offer ends on June 3rd. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, looking at Tesla, we have a quadruple bottom so far, and this thing is trying to get bought back up very, very nicely as we have a nice accumulation. Now, if we end up losing the 320 area, there is a gap to fill down here. But as long as we're above that, we're still technically favoring the upwards direction. And I do think that as we approach the robotaxi event in June, Tesla could push to at least this like 370 area, if not as high as 400 a share. So we could be looking for a big move back up to Tesla to the 370s, if not the 400s. We're seeing a lot of buyers stepping in as time goes on. But the question is, will Tesla see a bit of a rejection first, or will it just keep climbing? Based off what we're seeing, it is looking quite good. So I'll talk about some big news that came out involving Elon Musk and President Trump, and then I'll break down what's happening with the share price. The first thing I want to say is that Wedbush said that Tesla is going to likely outperform the market. And ever since they said that, Tesla's been outperforming the market for the last couple of weeks. As we're seeing the price-price ratio slowly uptrending, this means that relative to the markets, Tesla's building a lot of strength. On top of this, when it comes to seasonality, Mondays tend to be green about 52% of the time. And when it comes to hourly seasonality, we tend to be green a lot at 10 o'clock a.m. And also during the second to last hour of the day, Tesla tends to be a lot more volatile. Overall, there's been a lot of buyers stepping in as we're getting closer to the robotaxi event, and also after some big news involving China and Saudi Arabia. So, starting off with Saudi Arabia, we had Elon Musk go there. He met with the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and there was huge news that came out. Elon Musk revealed plans to introduce the company's autonomous robotaxis and humanoid robots to Saudi Arabia, making a significant step in the kingdom's drive towards advanced technology and economic diversification. This is some big news so far. They also mentioned that this news is going to be very exciting for the region, and this is going to help them modernize the economy. So that's huge news because Tesla could collect a lot more data and continue to test the robotaxi. And this is going to be a big market for them, especially because of the big investments to come. Elon Musk also talked about how this is going to help to enhance, productivity, and it's going to once again transform the economy. So he said it's going to be very big. Elon Musk said that these robots will be capable of moving around and interacting with the environment. And Musk said that he believes we're on the brink of a radically different future, one that is promising and fascinating. So big news right over here. He was comparing the robots to like R2D2 and many other cool figures. Musk said that everyone is going to want their own personal robots and something even better. So that's big news coming out from Elon Musk as we're seeing Tesla expanding its scope to Saudi Arabia. Not only does that open the doors for big investments, but it's going to allow for a big market for them. So keep that in mind. Very, very awesome stuff. Also, what else is good for Tesla is this news right here. China is going to be lowering its tariffs on U.S. goods to 10% for an initial 90 days starting from 12:01 p.m. on Wednesday. So that's big news. The China Finance Ministry said that in a statement. They're also going to be reducing the 34% duties on U.S. goods to 10%. They're also going to be cutting some tariffs and just pausing them temporarily for 90 days. So particular tariffs will be going down. Other ones are going to be paused completely, at least for 90 days. That is massive news, at least so far, for all these different countries. So, with that being said, what's happening, at least moving forward? We also had President Trump making this big deal. So, he was there with Elon Musk. President Trump went to secure a massive $600 billion investment commitment from Saudi Arabia. They're committed to investing $600 billion into the US. That's some big news. They want to be buying up more infrastructure. They're going to be investing $20 billion into AI data and energy infrastructure. They're also looking to invest billions of dollars into energy. And they also want to forge a very, very big defense deal worth $142 billion. So this is big. They're also going to be receiving 18,000 of NVIDIA's top AI chips. Big news for Saudi Arabia. This is part of why we're seeing NVIDIA pumping, Tesla pumping in the whole markets. Now, we also had CPI come out. CPI is flat on the core side, but we're looking at the lowest CPI we've seen in years for all items. So, looking at the numbers, core CPI month over month and year over year is at 0.2 and 2.8%. That's all aligned with expectations. But all items CPI month over month and year over year is at 0.2 and 2.3%. That is below expectations. That suggests to us that there will likely be not only like good news so far, at least for Americans, but this could incentivize some policy changes if we end up getting them. But keep in mind that this does not necessarily mean that prices are going down. CPI measures the rate of change of price. So if it's at 2%, it just suggests that prices went up by only 2%. The rate at which they're increasing is what's slowing down. Now, President Trump claims, and I'm not saying he's right about this, but I want to just at least show you his point, because President Trump causes lots of volatility at this point. You guys can't deny that. He said that there's no inflation and the prices of gasoline, energy, groceries, and practically everything else are down. The Fed must lower the rate like Europe and China have done. What is wrong with too late Powell? So that's the nickname that President Trump is giving Jerome Powell, calling him too late. He's criticizing him and he wants to see more cuts. So that's some big news. Besides that, we have Sony announcing earnings tomorrow and Alibaba and Walmart on Thursday. And also, the fear and greed index is currently at greed. It's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum's at extreme fear right now. It's actually going up, so that's a big shift. The put to call option ratio is dipping right now. We're seeing greed making up the majority of sentiment. And the VIX is at neutral as it's dipping again. So keep all of this in mind. So, with that being said, what's happening with the markets as we're starting to see buyers stepping in? Tesla clearly looks bullish, but we want to see if we can break past 340. If we hold above that, I'm looking for an attempt for almost 350. There is potential to get there. So those are going to be your key levels to watch for. So let's just say if we get bad news tomorrow, we could see Tesla return to 330. If that fails us, I will be expecting a retest of this resistance becoming support near 325. If we lose 330, look for a dip back down. If we're bullish, and the chart is looking bullish so far, we want to see us get back above 335. As long as that holds, we're looking for 340 as our target. If that breaks, I could see us pushing for 344 plus, which is where this resistance happens to be right over here near 345. So I'm looking for 345 to 350 as our target if we break and hold above 340. So the 4 hour is looking bullish on Tesla. The daily chart's also looking bullish if you guys zoom out and just look at the charts, because we are forming a very, very nice accumulation just like that. As you guys could tell, we have a quadruple bottom here, and we're trying to break out to try to push back up to about the 350s. So it's looking more bullish, and I do anticipate more upside. However, I'm not sure if we even get some kind of like temporary downside move in the next like week or so before we continue to go higher. Either way, I'm still very bullish approaching the Robotaxi event, and I expect us to see at least 370, if not 400. So could we go higher tomorrow? Yes, we're looking bullish. We're favoring a break above 340 to favor 345, then eventually 350. We still look more bullish. On top of this, when you look at SPY, the daily is looking quite strong. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, there's a lot of buyers stepping in as we're making higher highs and higher lows. Now, hypothetically, however, if SPY ends up losing 585 a share, we're looking for a move back down to 580. Then we could turn back down in case we lose that support. So watch 585 to be tested. If that fails us, we turn back down below 580. If we're bullish, you want to see us bounce off 585 and try to break above 590. I'll be looking for essentially this 592 area as our target if we end up breaking above these levels. So watch those levels just to be safe. I do think that SPY might come down a little bit and retest 585 and consolidate for some time. But as time goes on, if we get another deal from President Trump, we could still continue to push for the 590s as the chart looks bullish for now. On the 30 minutes time frame, we're also trying to ride our 20 EMA, so we'll see if we can hold above it or not. We might retest 585 in the morning, then try to bounce back up to about 590. As of right now, we still look more bullish. On the QQQ, if we end up losing essentially 514, we're looking for a move back down to about 510. As long as we're above 514, we're looking for 517, and then if that breaks, I think we go up to 520. So on the QQQ, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up coming down towards 514 or so, but then we could get bought back up to about 517, if not 520, as buyers return to buy us back up. On the IWM, we're still technically range bound. Now, the problem with the Russell is that we're making a lower high right here, so there's some weakness despite the fact that it's trying to make higher lows. So kind of mixed indicators. I could see us try to get back up to these highs around 210 tomorrow. Man, we have to break that to remain bullish. If we lose 207, we're looking for a move back down to 205. So I do see some consolidation like this first, but we'll see if we break past that 210 area to push even higher. For ES, we're looking a bit more bullish as we're making higher lows right here. I would love to see us break and hold above 5,900. If that holds, we're looking for an attempt for this high right here around 5,930, then 5,950 would be my target if we hold above 5,900. If we lose 5,900, we're looking for a dip back down to 5,875. If that fails us, we're looking for the lower levels like 5,850. My gut tells me that despite this, okay, we're still bullish because we're making higher highs and higher lows. We have this high here. We're making a higher high here, another higher high. Could come down a bit towards like the 5880s before it starts pushing for the 5950s. So there is upside potential for ES. For NQ, we're making higher lows as well. If we end up losing 21,000, we're looking for a dip back down towards 20,800. As long as we're above 21,000, we're actually favoring 21,500 as our target. Looking at the setup, we're looking quite bullish. We're making higher highs and higher lows. But if we don't get much volume, we could consolidate for some time before we try to push higher for 21,500. For Bitcoin, we have a nice double bottom inverse head and shoulders. If we end up losing 103,700, we're going to be dipping lower. If this holds support, we could be looking for a bounce to about 105,000. So there could be a nice accumulation forming right over here. So keep that in mind, guys, as there's buyers who are trying to step in. We could turn down to about 103,000 first, and we'll see if we get some kind of bounce off that. So keep that in mind. For others out there, such as Tesla, like I said before, it's very bullish looking. No sign of much of a dip yet. We got to lose the 50 EMA, which is going to be at 325 tomorrow to turn a little bit more weak. Otherwise, it's still bullish, guys. It's still very strong. Could cool off a bit before it continues to push for the 340s. Overall, it looks quite good. NVIDIA's on a very, very nice uptrend so far. So you want to see if it could break above 126 and hold there. If we lose 129, we're looking for a dip lower for 126. If we hold this, we could continue to uptrend and start pushing for 135 plus. For Apple, we're looking bullish. We're making higher lows. If we end up losing 210, we're looking for a dip lower. And if we hold support, we could be pushing for basically 215 as our target. Overall, we're doing a good job and we look more bullish. Now, Netflix, we have to zoom out on the 4-hour time frame to dissect this, okay? And by the way, about NVIDIA, I forgot to mention that. It's very bullish. I forgot to mention this. As long as we're above 128, I'm favoring upside for essentially 135 on NVIDIA. If we lose 130, we could return back down to like 128, but it looks bullish nonetheless. For Apple, we're looking bullish as well. Like we said, we might consolidate first before it starts pushing for 215. So keep that in mind. On Netflix, I can't help but notice that we're actually making lower highs here. So we had a high here, we had a lower high, came down, lower high, came down. Might dip towards 1125, and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. So keep that in mind. MSTR is looking a bit more bullish, though. MicroStrategy is getting bought back up. As long as we don't lose 408, we're actually favoring that we might come down and then try to bounce again. I could be looking for a test of the low 400s, and we'll see if we bounce or not. Celsius is looking more bullish. We're actually favoring a push for essentially 39. So I could be looking for more upside. As long as we don't lose 36.6, we could be pushing more. For Supermicro, we're looking bullish. As long as we don't lose 40, we're actually favoring a push back up towards the 44 area. So it got some big news with lots of bullish ratings. I am anticipating 44 or so. We're doing a great job so far at holding up. Palantir looks bullish. We have a cup and handle-like structure. Now, if we lose 119, we're looking for a dip lower. But as long as we're above 125, we're favoring 132 plus to 135. So we're looking quite good. For other tickers out there, we also have Rivian. Rivian is looking pretty good as we're making higher lows. So if we end up losing 14.2, we could turn back down on Rivian. But as long as we're above this, we're actually favoring some consolidation right here in the low 14s before it starts pushing for 15.3. SoFi is looking bullish. If we end up losing 14 flat, we're looking for a dip to 13.6. As long as we hold this, we're actually looking for an attempt to go higher. So we have a nice looking inverse head and shoulder structure on SoFi. We are still looking a bit more bullish. So keep that in mind. There is still some upside potential. AMD is looking bullish. So long as we don't end up losing 110, we're favoring a push for basically 115. I think AMD could be pushing for 115 as long as we don't lose that 110 area. We're looking bullish for now. For ARM, as long as we don't lose 125, we're actually favoring 130 as our target right back up here. So I think there could be more upside coming. PayPal is a little bit weak though. It's just consolidating, kind of lacks volume. So it could actually dip a little bit to fill that gap before it tries to bounce off 70. Might hit the low 70s before it tries to see some kind of rebound. Coinbase is bullish. It's replacing Discover Financial Services. This is bullish, looking for 265 to 270 as our target. Amazon's looking bullish. If we end up losing 208, we're turning back down much harder. As long as we're above 215, we're bullish. It might consolidate between 215 and 210 for some time. And we'll see if we break down or up, so we'll give this some time. For Meta, if we break past 660, excuse me, we're looking for basically 668 as our target. Looks quite bullish to try to retest these higher levels. If we lose 650, we could turn back down for basically 643, which is where that imbalance happens to be. So I do think we could be pushing for 660, and we'll see if this holds to go higher. There is potential in Meta nonetheless. Microsoft's making higher lows. If we end up losing 445, we're looking for a move back down to 441. As long as we're above 450, we're looking for an attempt to push towards 452. I'm favoring upside for Microsoft. Google's looking bullish so long as we don't lose 159. We're actually favoring 163. For DJT, we're favoring 26.5 or above and eventually 27. For the VIX, we're still technically bearish unless we get back above 21. This is still a bullish sign for the markets. The 10 years elevated, and so is the dollar. Is actually dipping a bit. Could be retesting 100.5, so we'll see if the dollar bounces off that. But for now, I do think the market's going to consolidate for a bit, and we'll see if we go higher or not. So give this some time to develop. And as far as Tesla's going, I just want to mention that we are also looking bullish. We're doing a good job at holding up. As long as we're above 325, we're favoring the 340s. So I do think we look very bullish on Tesla. And as we approach RoboTaxi, we're looking quite good. Even if there is a large pullback move on Tesla stock, just hypothetically, like even if it does happen, it doesn't really matter to me. I think we're still bullish nonetheless, and there's still upside potential to get back up towards 370 and then eventually 400 as we have a gap to fill. So I think there's so much potential in this chart. There's more upside coming, so keep that in mind. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a good rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with another update. Until then, I wish you all the best and peace out.